Bernard of Lisa Bernard's Word of Mouth Incorporated. She's given us such great advice on communicating in the workplace. She's back to tell us even more. Let's welcome her back to the program. So now we were talking about moms entering back into the workplace. How about for just all moms? In the workplace, out of the workplace, what kind of challenges, what kind of things that you might want to help them with?
Yeah. All women tell me that it is a challenge to be assertive without being too aggressive. And when women are perceived to be aggressive, whether they are genuinely or not, that's when we get into trouble and people use the B word and that sort of thing. But both at work and certainly in caring for our children, there are times when we need to be assertive. So what can we do? How can we speak to people, whether it's your child's daycare provider, your child's coach, or your colleague, or your boss, or a member of your staff? First thing is using the word I as compared to the word you. You, and you see my finger automatically goes up because in communication we say this the verbal finger. For instance, you didn't get that report in on time. You were told that we had a 2 o'clock deadline for that summary. That sounds aggressive, and it will be taken that way. Whomever you're speaking with is going to feel defensive.
Right.
Yeah. As compared to saying, Jane, I know we had a 1 o'clock deadline for the report, and I don't see it on my desk as I had asked you to place it. Can you help me understand what's happening here?
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't it? Just by converting you to I. And most of the time, the way it tends to go is Jane can then say, oh yeah, I went to put it on your desk, but I could see that you had a working lunch and I was afraid we could spill coffee on it, so I put it right in your briefcase there and right in the outer flap so that you could just pull it out and read it on your way to the meeting. Or if it's your babysitter, she can say, yeah, I knew that I was supposed to leave you that note, but I was concerned that it would fly off the table. There was nothing to anchor it down, so I put it on the refrigerator instead of on the table. That gives people a chance to genuinely work it through with you. And in the occasions where someone really didn't follow instructions and you need to be assertive, it won't help to be aggressive, even if they didn't follow up. In my examples, Jane actually came through, but we just missed it. What if she didn't? Well, there's no chance of getting that report, and there's no chance of getting that note if we are aggressive with Jane and we say, you didn't leave me that note, and you knew that was your responsibility. Jane is just going to get defensive, back away, or possibly react. And then you've got aggression and reaction and that nasty spiral of emotion that gets nobody to higher ground. Doesn't get the report prepared, doesn't get the note written. So I always recommend that we use the I instead of that verbal finger you. Secondly, whenever you have some issue with someone, always do it in private. When we have something pressing and it's important to us and being very busy, it is very easy to confront someone right away at the time when it suits us. It really doesn't take any more time to say, Jane, may I see you in the other room for a moment? It really takes 10 seconds to walk into a different room, and it doesn't embarrass her. It doesn't embarrass other people. Feel crummy if we have words with a daycare provider or a sitter or a coach. Our kids will feel crummy too, so it doesn't help anybody to have any kind of confrontation with someone in public. So when you combine those two, you really have a chance of getting to higher ground. And then the third thing is, anytime there's any sort of critique or corrective feedback that you have to offer someone, do it in very descriptive terms. We use words that describe a situation rather than judge or are inflammatory. For instance, saying, you know, you've been so wishy-washy these days, Jane. You're wishy-washy. Much better to say descriptively, Jane, I'm sensing that you're ambivalent about working here. Am I onto something, or is it just something unrelated? Those three things will really offer you an opportunity to get done what you need to get done and actually garner more respect from our kids' coaches babysitters, employees, colleagues, and so
Even
on.
your husband, I'm thinking.
Even a husband.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of saying you, turn it around to I just, as soon as you said that, I'm like, wow, this could work for marriages.
Absolutely.
Completely.
Absolutely. And another very helpful thing with marriage, because that's,
That's
you know,
that's
effectively
the old
communicating.
saying. Absolutely. You know the old saying, how do you keep a mom happy? You know, what's the role of the dad? To keep mom happy so she doesn't drive the kids crazy, right? With men, it's important to remember that men and women hear things differently.
Oh, yeah.
They genuinely do. People will ask me, who's a better listener, men or women? And I say, well, that's not really it. It's that we do it so differently. We are genuinely wired differently. And here's the deal. Women, all things being equal, will tend to hear emotions and attitudes. Men hear facts,
Oh, gosh.
information, data. Once you know that, you can pick your words carefully to get results.